starter. I don't know that old Bob Harris has got much in the tank. I don't know that Bobby Griffin is much for this world. But, yeah, I'm with you on the let's not bottom out on the quarterbacks, especially for the 1 o'clock main all day. I mean, you got some really good selections in there. And I like Aaron Rodgers, bad calf, snow, a little bit of wind. He loves division games, and I can recall years ago on a Christmas Eve game against the Bears, it was my fantasy championship, and I watched him just absolutely smoke show the Bears in Chicago, and God, did it feel good to be a champion again. I like the Aaron Rodgers play very much, man. That would be my 5-star pick of the week is Rodgers at quarterback.
Yeah, and you can do some things because I really like the cheaper guys at wide receiver this week. So we could do things and fit in because obviously the running backs that I like, we can make it real easy. The chalk all day.
Yeah, let's slide in there and do that quickly.
It's chalk all day. It's how you can fit in LaShawn McCoy, Le'Veon Bell. David Johnson, especially, you saw that they dropped Michael Floyd's been visiting.
I did see that.
So, and then now you have John Brown still dealing with sickle cell, so he's on a limited snap count. You have one viable wide receiver that's been tested in fits. You're going to see J.J. Nelson, obviously, more. They're going to have to give another shot again. Mr. Fumble from a few weeks ago, remember? But that makes David Johnson the man, everything we just discussed. So, again, it's how can you fit both of those guys.
DJ and Le'Veon?
Yeah, I got a lineup where it's Alex Smith, Le'Veon Bell, and LaShawn McCoy.
Yeah, I think you got to bottom down to Alex Smith to get those two in there, to get McCoy and Bell, or to get Bell and
you don't, though, man. That's, for me, still having a high-dollar tight end. So we'll go over it again. You'd be surprised. You can't go with the big shot wide receivers, which I didn't really find much reason to because of
let me plug in a thought here. I like LaShawn McCoy a lot, but I like Mike Gillislee just as much.
Okay.
He's a hawk from touchdowns. I've railed on LaShawn McCoy all year long. I think that guy is great. I think he's a great player. He's one of the more explosive players. Definitely top 3 for me in the NFL. But I'm going to try to throw together a lineup for the sake of the discussion and for the fun of what we do here. I'm going to throw together a lineup with La Bell and DJ, David Johnson. Okay. I mean, look, the Ezekiel Elliott's against Tampa. Devonta Freeman, you would look at it and think, yeah, he should smoke San Francisco, but they could be another episode of the Rams again last week. They could go right to Tevin Coleman by the second half. I don't love DeMarco Murray this week against Kansas City. Carlos Hyde is a less expensive option at running back, and I just want to kick off some running backs real quick. Hyde is a less expensive option against a team in Atlanta that doesn't defend the run exceptionally well. But, again, I think Carlos Hyde falls into that category, a guy on bad team.
Yeah, that's a risky play just because
he's on a bad team.
They do give up a lot of touchdowns, though. But
they do, but he's on a bad team. And if they're playing from behind, it's the Kaepernick show. He's going to have to throw the ball all around the field to guys like Jeremy Curley. And I don't know that Torrey Smith is back from an ugly injury, but to stick to these running backs, my value running back pick of the week is Tevin Coleman at 6,500 on FanDuel. But there's another guy right behind him that, as much as it pains me, Kenneth Farrow should be attracting some attention at 6,000. He's going to fill in for the Chargers this week for Melvin Gordon.
I heard about him. The only reservation I had, they said they weren't sure how much he would play because I guess he doesn't excel in pass blocking. So that's why they were talking about Ronnie Hillman.
That's a problem.
Yeah, they were talking about
Ronnie all the time. And they would have noticed that last week. He's only had a handful of touches as the season's gone on. He's a 2 and 3 touch guy. But last week, after the Melvin Gordon injury, he had 16 carries, 55 yards, 6 targets in the air. He caught all 6 balls. I can't find the statistic on how many snaps he was in for, but at that rate, it suggests that he can probably handle a little bit of a workload. I don't love it. I mean, look, again, this falls into that category again of if this guy were that good, he'd be a starter someplace. Now you've got a third string. Keep in mind, Danny Woodhead went down. Melvin Gordon was number 1. This guy's probably a 4th string running back who's just sticking around and hanging out. Forget I even brought him up. Don't you dare start Kenneth Farrow this week. I just talked myself.
I got one even better for you, and he's cheap.
Okay.
Isaiah Crowell.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know you're of the bad teams, but it doesn't matter. They still run the ball enough, and he's an effective runner to where, maybe he'll get you 20 points, and if he does, that would be a hit for 5,500. Buffalo obviously is horrible against the run.
That would be a huge hit. I'm just not playing or starting any Cleveland Brown voluntarily. I think you're better off with Mike Gillislee at 5,000 playing Cleveland.
Yeah, maybe I'm just wishing on a start, considering I think I might have to start Crowell in our league. So I'm trying to...
Yeah, now it comes out, right?
Which is, I say it happens.
It can. Yeah, the running backs are a little... You're on shaky ground with some of them, you and I both, just because there's so many plays out there that can be so shitty they can blow up in your face. I see it too. But for the most part, why you can put the chalk in, start the chalk in a lineup. Go get Le'Veon Bell and David Johnson. Mix LaShawn McCoy in there. If you're doing a DraftKings, go try to load up with 3 great running backs and throw one of the top chalk in your Jesus, help me out here. What's it called? Your flex play. I'll be okay.
It's
I've had
smart.
half a beer falling apart.
It's smart to do. It's smart to do that, especially when there's nothing that really jumps out and says start me at the wide receiver position as far as high dollar, so you can really get creative.
Let's do that. Let's talk about the folks at the wide receiver position.
Oh, man, last week we were right with Denver. I think you could go Denver again possibly because New England, I think there's going to be some scoring going on. Just New England is badass,
Yeah, it is. That Denver defense, and I've got in the standard league, my standard family league, the LFFL, that's been around since like 1996. I finished the regular season. I'm going to brag for a second. I finished the regular season at like 11-2. I had a bye week last week, and that team just raged on the bye week, 145 points. Brady and Bell went off. Scares the hell out of me coming into this week, but this wide receiver position creates some shaky ground for any of Brady's wide receivers playing Denver. Denver really, really just stymied Marcus Mariota and Tennessee and lost last week. Tennessee was good enough to beat them, but didn't have a big day in the air. I don't know, man. I'm afraid of anybody playing the Broncos.
Yeah, but I still think I think their ground game. I think the combination of they can run the ball, and Denver is susceptible to the run. You have Belichick creating the game plan, so he's going to find somebody. They're dynamic enough to where I think they're going to give up some passing yards because it's not just your corners and there's who's going to go off. Is it that Edelman? Is it
Edelman hasn't gone off yet this year.
No, but that's what I mean, though. He hasn't gone off yet this year. Maybe he's kind of hurt, or but he could.
He could be due. I just know that Bronco defense is number 1 against the pass, and that scares the hell out of me. Last week, Baltimore is no slouch. It's a good defense they played on Monday night. In Foxborough, different story. This game is in Denver. Denver coming off a loss to Tennessee. I am so worried about all of this, seeing as I'm riding the Tom Brady horse. It scares the hell out of me. Edelman last week, 7 catches on 15 targets, 73 yards, and the Monday night win over the Ravens, but didn't find the end zone again. Chris Hogan was the big boy. Tell me, what do you got? Who are your receivers here? Don't talk about it so I'm not just railing on. Tell me who you got.
Well, no, I like Sanders, but like I said, I'm not dwelling on him, meaning I'm not going to start him in multiple lineups. I'm just...
okay, Emmanuel Sanders for Denver. I see, okay.
Yeah. But who I really like, Tyreek Hill, 6,400. So Emmanuel Sanders is 6,600.
Okay.
Tyreek Hill, 6,400. Love Dontrell Inman at 5,500. Love Taylor Gabriel at 5,800. So you can see, and I'm not necessarily centering in on these guys because they're cheap, although I didn't have a choice. That was secondary. If I really didn't like the people at this price value, I would have taken one of my high-dollar running backs out and put in somebody a little cheaper. But I like these guys. I like their matchups. If you look, their matchups are the top matchups as far as points given up to the wide receiver. Tyreek Hill is hot. Gabriel, there's a possibility Jones doesn't play again. If that's the case, then hell yeah, you want Taylor Gabriel.
It looks like Julio Jones has not practiced this week. I have a feeling he's going to miss another one.
Yeah, I just read a little while ago about him. They're going to have him tomorrow, see if he can plant and explode off that foot. And if he can,
yeah, and, you know, you're as well aware of this as I am. Turf toe has ended the career of some really great players, tough guys like Jack Lambert. Turf toe got him off field. That's not an easy injury to contend with.
Well, here's the thing.
It's
not
difficult.
To cut you off, but they say it's not turf toe. They say it's an actual sprain of the toe itself.
Really?
Which I thought that's what turf toe was.
No.
So apparently that's not, and it's better. But, again, who knows? It's your foot, and it's a running back. That's all I need to know. To where that's the reason why I've made some moves on our team, in our league.
Sure.
And I'm be starting Isaiah Crowell because of that. I gave it a few days to figure it out.
I'm going to make the suggestion on Julio Jones to Julio Jones owners and daily fantasy players alike. Toe injuries are difficult, like you just said. Anybody who's got to run, anybody who's got to move, cut, it's a difficult injury to overcome, whether it be turf toe or just a foot injury. If Atlanta, who is in all likelihood going to battle out for a wild card, possibly the division with Tampa, it looks like, they just walked into Los Angeles and smoked the Rams without Julio Jones. They're going to walk into San Francisco and likely smoke the 49ers, and they're going to do it without Julio Jones again. And they should. Give this guy a break. You're going to give him 2 weeks off, and I think it's a great idea. Get him healthy so come January when the games matter, he's a healthy Julio Jones, possibly at home in the Peach State. That's a dangerous player and a dangerous team when Julio Jones is healthy. I don't think he's been healthy for about 5 weeks.
They've got no reason to start him on Sunday.
None.
None whatsoever.
None. I want to bring up another wide receiver that I think we often point out.
Makes me want to cry, by the way. It makes me want to fucking cry, but that's another story.
I understand. I want to point out another wide receiver, and often here on the line, especially in the Daily Fantasy Show, we like to talk to you about reasons why. For example, earlier in the season, when the Buffalo Bills went to take on the Chip Kelly-led San Francisco 49ers, yes, LaShawn McCoy had a great matchup altogether, but that's that situation where it's a special time for a player, and good coaches give special players a special opportunity to shine and to do the things that they want to do for whatever reason, to stick it up the gooey of the other head coach or another team, or just to say farewell. And in this particular instance, I think this is farewell to a future Hall of Famer. Larry Fitzgerald is setting up to play his last home game in Arizona this weekend.
Is it his last home game?
Yeah, if he's calling it quits, which that's the rumor, this is his last home game. He has an opportunity against the New Orleans Saints to go in and have a big day. Bruce Arians is a player's coach. Arians is going to give Larry Fitz the opportunity to find the end zone. He needs 4 catches to have another 100-catch season. He'd love to have another 100-yard game. He'd love to go out at home with a big, big day. I think Larry Fitzgerald this week is the 5-star must-start player in every single lineup simply because they are going to work to get him the ball the last time in front of his home crowd.
Well, and here's the deal. It's not like they're going to have to work too hard. They don't have anyone else to throw it to.
That's a problem.
Yeah. I mean, they got the one guy, like we said. One guy's got sickle cell. One guy's a drunk and gone off the team. And J.J. Nelson's, he's obviously a deep threat, but he's not the type of guy that's going to catch 9 targets. And
no, he's not.
I was
Arizona team is done.
I was sleeping on that totally, so I'm glad you told me that because I am going to take that advice in a couple lineups. And you can because he's still pretty cheap, so he's $7,200.
Yeah, there's a lot of value there, and I think that this is a farewell for Larry Fitzgerald. And if anybody deserves it, it's him. That guy's been great for the Arizona Cardinals. He's been great for Larry Fitzgerald. He's been great for any quarterback he's ever had. The guy's a Hall of Famer and one of my favorite receivers of all time. I can still recall leading up to his draft, hoping that the Oakland Raiders would select Larry Fitzgerald. I think they took Robert Gallery instead.
Jesus.
Yeah, so goes life. So goes life as a Raider fan. But those are old days. The new days are upon us. plug Larry Fitzgerald in your lineups this week, you really should be treated to something special.